Welcome. My name is Samuel James Price, the Crypto Lifer. And today I'm going to give you your weekly macro technical analysis video. We're going to break down Bitcoin, big dumps happening. Where are the lows? Where could we go? I'm going to give you that information right now so you know and you're not freaking out. Let's look at it right now. And we're going to break down total 3. We're going to look at the altcoins, Bitcoin dominance, the DXY, S&P futures, and more. So get excited for your weekly macro technical analysis video. Let's get it in. Again, one thing I have to say is I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say you should be taken as financial advice. Please get yourself a financial advisor and do your own due diligence before getting into any project, coin, or trade. With that being said, let's have some fun. So, Bitcoin has resistance and support. Resistance at 65.5. We've now lost that level. No go. Our next support zone is going to be $60,145. You can also see here, we have never closed the candle lower than the low candle here at about 61,483. That's the lowest we've closed a candle since this debauchery movement from the top to the downside. So it's not all bad. The bullish sign is that that's a low and that's a higher low. If we keep a higher low, we do keep a trend line on the weekly. We still form what looks to me like a bull pennant, and we're on our way out of the bull pennant to the upside. Bull pennants break out 68% of the time. We'd be on our way to $99,000. Maybe even somewhere, by September, something like that. Things were looking a lot hotter. We could get out the move and broke that high, but we did get the last 2 weeks of pullback, which it kind of has expunged the fire for a little while. But we'll see. Looking at the 3-day chart now, you can see that we definitely need a bounce. Same trend lines intact, and it looks more like an ascending triangle, but we definitely need that bounce back to the upside here for Bitcoin. Looking at the indicators, the moving averages are, close enough, and you don't want to lose the 50 for us to consolidate, and we're getting low on the stochastics. You would suggest a bounce is coming. They're just dragging this bounce a little longer than you would think. And then the daily, which has been getting drained since June 5th. I mean, almost, basically 2.5 weeks straight of just dumpage here. And it looks like we're likely, you would say 68% of the time you're going to get a bounce, but it's been tough. And when these moving averages get tight, a lot of times you do want to come down to that 200 SMA. Do we lose this level? Right now, we're at our last key level of support or resistance. Resistance. We have like about 4 daily candles that couldn't get back above, and now we're holding that level. So you do not want to lose 63. If you lose 63, it looks like 59,000 is just evident, 60K area, right? We move on into the 8-hour, and the 8-hour had a chance to bump above that 200 SMA. We were about to close that candle. No way. We got rejected. We got to show some signs of divergence. Let's take a look at our 4-hour. Our 4-hour has a little bit of bullish div here. See this swing up? Tells us that we could get a bounce. So I'm watching the 4-hour for the bounce. You want to see if your 4-hour can break back above this resistance at 65.5, right? That's that weekly support. And then the key level we're watching too is 64.8, which is right below that level here, because you can see we also had bounce. Previous support would be resistance. We flip 64.8. We can possibly get a move further to the upside. If you're looking at the real small time frames, you really want to see if your 1 hour can break above the 200. If you get that, that would give me a catalyst along. Until unless you can't get above that, and really 66.3, but let's start small, 64.8, then 65.5, and then 66.300. Right? But those are the areas you got to watch for Bitcoin, and that's your analysis. What do I see happening? Honestly, I don't know. I know nothing but the fact of my own ignorance. Right now, it's more bearish unless we can get back above 64,800. We look at the total market cap for BTC, all right? And we look at it here on the weekly time frame. Same idea. We must kind of stay inside this zone. However, ever since we've looked at that, we have lost it. What are the key levels to look at? We're almost a little lower than Bitcoin because the altcoins have been taking a hit, and they are part of this too as well. So the weekly is almost more in a symmetrical triangle now than it was in, a bull pennant kind of vibe. You really desperately need a bounce here for the total market cap. The stochastic suggests you're very oversold. You've already kind of had a pullback. MACD also wants to get a move. So everything kind of looks like you could get a reversal here. My whole thing is this. If a weekly candle closes here below these 2 candles, I'm going to flip pretty bearish. And then it's going to look like we're in this. We're in some type of bigger pullback that's just going to take a little longer before we kind of get our move on out of there. So if we get a bounce here, then it changes the scenario. So weekly candle below $2.19 trillion is really going to extend the fact that this pullback might be a bigger pullback. So that's something you really want to pay attention to on the weekly, on the macro for the total analysis. Like you really just want to watch that closes below that spells trouble. You get a bounce here, we can kind of get some relief. We'll look at total 3. And total 3, just struggling too as well. Very oversold in the stochastics, but the RSI still have some room to come on down. And the altcoins lost some key levels. They really did. The daily was like doing well. It looked like the daily could stay inside of the bigger channel. We lost it, right? This was the trend line here when we were inside, and then we lost that and fell down. And symmetrical triangles do break to the downside, more than they break down. They're 50-50, but I see them break down more. I don't think they're 50-50. I find that wrong by traditional accounts. So this now is a bit of a falling wedge on total 3. You're bouncing off the 200 MA. You lose the 200 SMA, I mean, that's how bear markets begin. So either that's just a catalyst for one last scoop up for fear, like this area here, or we are beginning some bigger pain. I've seen it, both. That is the beginning. If you can go back test this. I'm just telling you the facts. I don't want to scare you. However, we didn't break it yet. We're still okay. No, actually we are. Right now, today, we're going to close a candle below the 200 MA. We'd like to get a candle close above that 200 SMA. It would be nice, So in the next, I'd say 2 to 3 days, by Monday or Tuesday at the very latest, we need to see the daily above this yellow line and starting a recovery. Otherwise, we're going to see some lower lows, in my humble opinion, for Bitcoin and the whole market. Total 3, same, and these altcoins are going to struggle. Remember, this is total 3, the market cap of all the altcoins excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Then we take a look at Bitcoin dominance. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. Now, Bitcoin dominance is in a rising wedge, right? If Bitcoin continues, gets the bounce, this will go sideways, and then we're going to eventually continue further to the upside. What Bitcoin dominance does suggest, though, is that it could be all Bitcoin all the time up until September, and we could get a rip. And it may take, we may get some sideways kind of range price action throughout the summer. In my lifetime, summer trading has been long, boring, and takes a long time. I now remember so many tough summers where in my live stream, not as many people are on it. It's just I've gone through it. This will be a very similar type of summer if that's what happens. Sideways ranging. We were hoping for some monster price action. It was looking like we may get some pretty good pumpage, but things have been slowly getting drained here and just going more sideways. And Bitcoin dominance also kind of suggesting that. As you can see, it kind of just staying in this tight range now. Not many people selling too much, not people adding too much, just kind of staying tighter. And it looks like we're going to get more of this on the macro idea. So I see sideways price action, not, and it also says not any huge move for Bitcoin anytime soon, just really consolidation. This is good for altcoins in the long term. It gives you cheaper prices and gives you time to accumulate better projects. All right, jumping in, we're going to look at Tether dominance now. Now, Tether dominance fell down, it's been in this kind of little bear flag. Like we watched it in the symmetrical triangle, we broke, we had our beautiful rally, and then Tether dominance has been trying to bounce back up slowly, and people have been kind of scared getting back into Tether again. Kind of crazy if you think about it because it's attached to the dollar, and we have the dollar getting printed to zero, but it is what it is. Right now, you do not want to see Tether dominance breach the 200. If that happens, that's going to be Bitcoin's next leg down. You want to see this go sideways and then go further to the downside. I'd be watching this like a hawk for the next 2, 4, 5 days. We do not want to see Tether dominance close a 2 or 3 daily candles above the 200. That's going to spell trouble for Bitcoin on the macro. Very likely that people are going to be rushing further into Tether, and that's going to crush the altcoins and Bitcoin even more than they already are. So, famous last words: it can't go lower. It can always go lower. Please always know that and plan accordingly. All right. The DXY, our baby. Yeah, right. But the DXY, let's take a look at the DXY. Now, the DXY has been showing strength above its daily 200 SMA. We don't want to see Tether dial that. See, the DXY already did that. It is a little overbought now, and it's at the top of its range. I have some scribbles here. Let's see what I was looking at. So when looking at the DXY recently, I saw it in this kind of rising wedge, you can see. And then it started making kind of a pennant here. Wasn't the best pennant in the world, but it was a pennant. And I had this top trend line, this bottom trend line, and it looked like it'd break out, and it did break out. And then it had the rising wedge, it looked like it'd break out, and it did that too as well. Now I'm looking that we're in kind of this rising wedge, and we have this flag here, right? Now, rising wedges break down 68% of the time, but not, they also can create parabolic movement. So what we really need to see is a break to the downside. There is some bearish div there too, So we don't want to see this. We don't want to see this break out and some type of retest and pump. We want to see this struggle and do a bearish retest. We want to see the 1 hour eventually lose the 200 SMA. If this starts to breach and start to pump up higher, and again, I have seen it pump with Bitcoin. They could pump together, but it's unlikely. If this starts to pump higher, it is more likely that Bitcoin will struggle. All right. S&P futures, they've been doing great. Finally had our first daily close that wasn't as high as the last one. We finally struggled a little bit. Looked like we were going to pump. Let's take a look at kind of what happens on the bigger time frame. I'm going to delete everything, and we're going to start on the weekly here. But I told you on my macro analysis that this thing was just going to continue to moon, right? I showed you the cup and handle the day it happened right here. Here's your cup. There was the handle. I even gave the exact entry based on 3-day hidden bullish. If you watched my channel, I talked about how this swung up, but the RSI swung down, and that was your buy zone. We even pulled a Fibonacci here, and it came into my model at the 618 golden pocket, and we pumped. It told you exactly what was supposed to happen. It showed you exactly what was going to happen, and that's exactly, and this was a cup and handle too. I showed you this cup and handle, and even the year before that, even gave the analysis on the October on the dominance there too. It's just interesting, but I gave this call, and I could see that the S&P was going to break up and hit the measured move. And it told us where we were going. It told us we were going to 5,500. I put this trade out and showed it to everybody. I actually had it documented for a long time with the stop loss and everything. And if you've taken that trade, you're still in the money, on that trade. Now, we're at an all-time high. It's getting out of control, right? They printed us to absolute zero. I mean, the dollar to zero, which is going to force anything that's valued in the dollar to the upside. We even did this retest and we pumped further up, and the weekly's just getting started for expansion. And as crazy as this sounds, it looks to me like we're going to go on another rally here and go further to the upside. So the weekly suggesting that we're just getting started, MACD just getting across, and we're about to start continuing a bigger move all the way to about 69 by October. So I don't know. It says something crazy is going to happen here with the money printing, maybe a dollar movement down, BRICS putting pressure. It suggests there's going to be some type of, it almost looks like there's going to be a dollar collapse. I don't know. I don't like to say that to scare people. That's just what the charts are conveying. You know what I mean? Who knows? But there's some space here for that to happen. The NASDAQ's a little further ahead, and the daily, you're a little too extended on the 3-day chart. But all I would have to say is fine. Maybe you can consolidate on the 3-day for 10, or, not even 10, but maybe, 10, 12 days. 3 to 4 3-day candles, and then this could continue. I'm still overly bullish because they're continuing to print money. This is starting to make some type of bearish div, though. You would think there would be a bigger pullback, but we tried that once. We tried that twice. So unless we lose the level at 17,500, I won't get too bearish on the S&P. All right. That concludes your weekly macro technical analysis, everybody, for Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance, Tether dominance, total 3, the NASDAQ, the S&P futures, the dollar index. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you next week here watching your Friday macro technical analysis video. Don't shortchange yourself. Get the education. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. You can find out when I post my next video. Remember, if you came to the channel, then you're already doing the right thing. Crypto is life.